Well, good morning everybody. Today we are here with some breaking news because there was just a massive leak coming from RFK Jr. As we all know, there was a tragic thing that happened over this weekend where former President Donald Trump was almost assassinated. And after that assassination attempt, RFK Jr. and Donald Trump spoke. He talked about this in an interview as well as on a Twitter post, stating that him and Donald Trump had a conversation. However, though, this morning there was a massive leak from a news reporter who was inside of RFK Jr.'s house at that time. And now there's a few things that I need to explain about this. Being someone who's closely following the RFK Jr. campaign, a lot of people thought that this was a strange thing and not a leak because it was on speaker. However, if you guys do know anything about RFK, you know that he's talked about before that he believes that there is radiation that comes from cell phones and that they could cause tumors somewhere in your head, and that's why he always speaks on speaker. However, though, in this conversation with former President Donald Trump, in the 1 minute and 40-second clip that I was able to find, which I believe is the longest one circulating around, the initial thing that we hear them speaking about in the conversation is about another conversation that they had years ago when Donald Trump was president. We know that RFK Jr. and Trump had a meeting at Trump Tower in New York City, and apparently at that meeting, I suppose they spoke about vaccinations and how they are unsafe for children, and Trump is basically taking over this entire conversation and saying every single word in it, and RFK Jr. kind of just nods along with him. But Trump basically said that, it's crazy that these kids get these vaccines at such a young age, being 10 or 20 pounds. And then right after they get these vaccines, they start acting different. And he says he's seen this happen many times. And overall, this is a really, really strange thing because you hear RFK kind of just agreeing along with him. But I don't really know how you're supposed to have a conversation with somebody who almost lost their lives a couple of days ago. And it does seem strange. So now a lot of people on Twitter are speculating and saying that RFK Jr. and Donald Trump are somehow working together. I find this really hard to believe because it seems like a lot of the people who are actually going to end up voting for RFK, a majority of them are actually coming from the Trump voter base instead of the Biden voter base. I think the poll that he always cites is 57% of the people going for RFK are Trump voters and the other 43% are obviously Biden voters. It's not entirely relevant to the situation, and it's very possible that after this happened, it's really going to turn those people who were going to possibly vote for RFK, who do also like Donald Trump, directly into Trump's favor. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. However, though, the only thing that I took away from this conversation was it seems that Trump wants to offer RFK a position in his administration.
But you and I talked about that a long time ago. And anyway, I would love you to do something. And I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're gonna win. We're way ahead of the guy.
He said that we can do great things together. Trump stated that he's going to win and beat Biden and that they could do some great things together, which I thought was super interesting. Then to wrap up the phone call, once again, Trump literally spoke for basically the entire 1 minute and 40 seconds, and RFK Jr. said yeah about 4 or 5 times throughout it. Trump ends up saying that when he was actually shot at, he heard something whiz by his ear. He said that it sounded like the largest mosquito in the world, and it probably stung as well because that's what I've heard a bullet sounds like. I've never been shot. But that's basically all that we have from this. I have no idea if there's a longer or larger version of this phone call. Another thing that happened after this conversation the other day is that Trump ended up tweeting out onto his Truth Social account saying that after the weekend's event, RFK Jr. should definitely be granted Secret Service. And I guess Biden also came to this realization. Mayorkas finally in a press conference stated that RFK Jr. would be receiving the Secret Service that he was entitled to for about a week now and legally required to get. So I guess that's really it with this. Please tell me in the comments down below what you thought of this event happening. It's a very, very strange leak coming from that reporter. Otherwise, though, it's a pretty interesting conversation to listen to and obviously something we wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't leaked. Please be sure to like and subscribe as this is the first video on my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.